Yo, what up guys, and I'm going to talk about basically my experience with the third eye. And so first off, I want to start by saying that we all have a third eye, or we can call it like our first eye. It's just our ability to perceive truth. It's our ability to perceive reality for what it actually is. The true reality, capital R reality. And we come into this world, as spirits, and as spirits we have our senses, we have our spiritual senses, and we have we come into this world and we then take on the form of our vehicle, which is our body. And so our body has its two eyes, which perceives, just the sensory experience, which is here, which is earth. And I think with children are very like high vibratory beings, and so they're able to see things that adults aren't able to see. They're able to see lights in the air. They're able to see, like, they have imaginary friends, or they have more like vivid dreams, And as they grow older, they start losing these senses. They start losing these abilities. And I think part of the reason is because I think it's part of the government in a way. Maybe people talk about the decalcification of the pineal gland, but also I think it's also just the beliefs that they're thrown on them, because they come in here like a blank slate kind of thing. They just come in raw, with the rawest senses, the rawest spiritual senses. And as they become more animalistic in their nature, which is kind of like more attached to the material world, they start losing that ability to perceive spiritually, and they just start focusing on the material things. And I think it's a good thing. I think most of the time, or just the evolution of man, I think first he must be grounded in earth, and then he can fly in air, and to fly means to be in spirit. So yeah, that's basically like the explanation for that. I think that's how we begin. And if you're watching this video, you want to fly, you want to be able to see things for what they are, or maybe you even remember, or you're curious about why, or like why people see things, or why you see some things, or like just some experiences that you had. I know for me, when I took mushrooms, my third eye was just crazy. I think that is also an opening of your third eye. I think there's a lot behind it. You release your DMT, and we produce DMT. DMT is kind of like the gateway to perceiving different things. And I read a book. It basically talks about how ayahuasca is actually kind of a way of activating certain DNA in our genes that allows us to see things, see deeper things, see different realities. And so we're able to produce these things naturally, and that comes from our pineal gland, which is related to the third eye. All these things are linked. There's the pineal gland, which is the physical form, and then there's the third eye, or the chakra, sixth chakra, which is the spiritual form, and then this is also connected to DNA. So if you guys want to start learning about things, you need to start approaching things from a more holistic way, where it's not one single thing that defines everything. It's more so everything is connected. And in this way of thinking, I also evolved my way of perceiving things, because this is just another way of seeing things that will help you open your third eye, which is basically look for the connections, be able to relate things, keep an open mind to anything. Keep an open mind to all possibilities. Do not negate possibilities, because possibilities are infinite. And if you negate the infinite, then you negate yourself, and you negate yourself the ability to perceive higher things. And so it comes from a way of thinking, right? The way I saw it was, I was just curious, and I was as curious as a child, and that's crazy. As you go and listen to what I'm explaining, you guys will realize that children are really like this. This is just their natural state. They're very curious. They're very open-minded. They're very creative. They're questioning things, and as you start doing this, you actually start opening your third eye, because of the fact that the way you perceive the world is not anymore fixed. You are able to, you become more plastic in the way you see things. You adapt to different things that arise in your vision, right? In your sensory perception. And as you start looking more into these things, you start catching things. You start catching certain like intuitions. You start catching certain like conclusions, certain ideas that are kind of outlandish in a way when you look at material reality, such as everything is connected, or spirit is in everything, or consciousness is everything, or these kinds of conclusions. These are kind of like the ultimate realities. And if you're able to perceive truth, a universal truth, that is also another thing that helped me, in which I just looked to synthesize. I looked to synthesize my experiences with the religious texts, with stories, with fantasy, with myth, all of these things. I was able to just think and connect, and as I connected and expanded, my vision also expanded, and it looked past just the form, just the material, just the 3D. And so my experiences involve, or it all began with psychedelics, with mushrooms or LSD, and then it went into just meditative states where I was able to just like see things that I never thought were there. Like I am now able to see like little sparkling like lights floating in the sky, and I've also had occurrences when I like waking up from a dream, sleep paralysis. Just so you guys know, sleep paralysis is also our third eye looking at the astral realm. We're looking at the astral realm because we're in that vibratory state. Our body is asleep, but our mind isn't, our astral body isn't, and so we're able to see things that are from a different realm. So that is why we sometimes see demons, and we see like all these nasty beings, because these beings are in line with your own vibratory state. And I want to talk about that in the future. But what you see is reflective of what your state is, what your being is. So if you're seeing demons, then you are most likely in a lower vibratory state. And as you raise your vibration, which is also in line with opening your third eye, you also see higher things, higher beings, better things. And I've seen beautiful things. I've seen dwarves. I've seen just like glitches in the matrix. I've seen like lights coming out of people. I've seen lights coming out of my hand, lights coming out of the books I read, and it's interesting. I don't have it happen a lot, maybe like once a week, maybe 2 times a month. Pretty low occurrences, but to have them happen at all is actually something that leads me to think about what can be possible. Because it makes me think about all the stories of dwarves and dragons and all of these things that we call fantasy and have been mentioned in myth. But I am starting to realize that maybe these things are just higher dimensional beings that we're not able to see or perceive because of our lower vibratory state. But that's been my experience with like opening, with like developing my chakras, with developing myself in general. I think as long as you take on the task or the work to evolve spiritually, to become more connected with yourself, you will evolve all of your centers. All of your 7 centers will become more evolved. And there's actually a process. It is actually a process, and the way I did it was basically I have to be able to, the lower chakras, you have to be able to climb up from the lower chakras to the higher chakras. And every single chakra has its different stages, different definitions. And as you, for example, trump the desire of sexuality, if you are able to master your sexual urges, you have mastered that chakra, and now you can use it to your advantage, and you can allow for the energy to flow into different areas, which would be the next higher chakra, right, with the solar plexus, which has to do with power and money. And then once you cut out the desire for that, you can go to the next one, which is basically the heart chakra. And the heart chakra is one of the most highest, I think right now is one of the most important ones. It's the one that is being drawn out in humanity right now during these times. But yeah, think of, as long as you start to win over your desires, trump your desires, become more evolved spiritually, you will open your third eye. And I think a lot of people are getting it wrong because they want to open their third eye before they're even ready to do so, before their chakras, before their body isn't even evolved enough to do so. So then I hear stories about people seeing demons, people being attacked by certain thought forms, by certain beings, and then they end up labeling it as a very demonic practice. You know, it is a demonic thing to be spiritually evolved or think of spirituality in this way. And so that is where people go wrong, because they want to be able to see things, they want to be able to feel things, but without doing the hard work, which is actually the best approach, which is basically the holistic approach, which is learning more about yourself, you know, learning, evolving yourself in general, which has to do with desires, which has to do with vices, which has to do basically with turning your vices into virtues, okay? And if you take on that task, it will happen. You will be able to perceive truth in things, and I think that's the highest. Purpose of the sixth chakra, and it's vision, right? It's your eye, it's your vision. So if you're able to perceive truth in everything, then you can manipulate things. You can manipulate form in a way that will serve you and will serve a purpose, instead of just being guided blindly by form. You know, like one example is speaking. Speaking is very limited in a way that the words that I am using are only an expression or an attempt to explain the knowledge that I have in my head. My knowledge is formless. My knowledge is abstract. And to explain something that is very abstract is difficult. Although the language is pretty good at doing so, there's often a misunderstanding, or sometimes there can even be a miscommunication about my own ability to speak and my ability to think. And so if you're able to look past the words and more so the meaning behind the words, then you are developing your perception, right? And that's why I speak about meaning, because meaning is in a way truth. You know, if you're able to grasp meaning, you're able to grasp higher truths, and if you're able to do that, you're on your way to becoming more evolved. But yeah, so that's my experience. Quick little thing, I guess. I want us to talk more about chakras and truth, and it all goes together. It all goes together in the end. And whenever you take on the task to improve one thing, it will carry over no matter what. So yeah, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, I'm open to talking about anything related to spirituality, psychology, or whatever. Yeah, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, give me a like if you liked the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.